Welcome to Audio Alchemist, the podcast where we share stories that stays with us long after we've heard them. I'm your host for today, Kobe Brixiscaro, joined by my co-hosts, Audrey and our friend, Valerie.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for listening today.
Today we're talking about a story that quietly shows a feeling many people know, which is loneliness. It's called Tony Takitani, written by Haruki Murakami. Whether you've read it or not, this story talks about feeling that can be hard to explain or even. We also have friends here who just read it for the first time, and we want to share what it means to them and to you.
Before we begin, I want to share a quote by Jean-Paul Sartre that fits today's story. And quote, "If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in a bad company." End quote. Tony Takitani's stories help us explore what it really means to be alone and how loneliness goes deeper than just being by yourself. We're happy to welcome our friends, James and Noraska. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Kobe. This story really stuck with me. I'm glad to be here to talk about it.
Same here. It was my first time reading it, and it felt very personal. I'm excited to share my thoughts.
So, James, loneliness feels like one of the main characters in the story of Tony Takitani. How does the author show you that loneliness right from the start?
It's simple but powerful. From the beginning, we see Tony's loneliness in small ways. His father isn't around much, and even his name makes him feel different from other kids. You get the feeling loneliness is part of who Tony is. I can relate because I moved far away from my family at first. Living alone felt great, like having freedom. But after a while, the silence felt heavy. It's not just being alone. It's missing everyday moments, like laughing with friends or hearing the sounds of home. Those things mean a lot more when they're gone. There's a quote by Carl Jung that comes to mind. Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. That's how Tony feels like he can't share what's inside.
So, Noraksa, what stood out to you about Tony's struggles with friends overcome because of his past?
It's his parents. They weren't very warm or close emotionally, so Tony never learned how to connect deeply with people. When he finally falls in love, it feels strange and confusing to him. That made me think about my own struggles to open up to others. I'm shy, so I relate to how past experiences shape what we feel and do. Tony's quiet distance feels real, like many people's experience. I think about this line by Brené Brown. True belonging is not about fitting in or pretending. It's about standing alone and feeling comfortable in your own skin. Tony's story is about trying to find that kind of true belonging, even if it's hard.
Tony is so different from his dad too. His father is a jazz player, always moving and free. Tony is calm and careful in how he lives. That didn't make Tony feel even more alone. It makes you wonder how much we are shaped by being different from the people who raised us.
Murakami used very simple words that makes a very strong impact. Valerie, for you, how does the empty space in the stories shows Tony's loneliness inside?
The author doesn't use big emotional words or even fancy sentences. Instead, it shows quiet, simple moments that felt fulfilling. You can almost feel it in the air when you listen. It's like being in a very quiet room where even a small noise sounds very loud. That quiet emptiness helps us understand how lonely it really feels. There's a saying by the poet Rumi, "The wound is the place where the light enters in." Rumi's quiet spaces and empty rooms are painful, but they also show where healing can begin.
So, bro, what about the empty room after Tony's wife passed away? What do you think it means beyond just being a room?
Because
It's a strong image. The room is empty just like Tony's heart after his wife is gone. It's a symbol of sadness for his loss. And that really touched me.
That story reminded me of my grandmother after my grandfather died. Her house grew very quiet, not just because he was gone, but because the life they shared was gone too. The silence The silence almost feels like it filled the whole room.
I also lost my grandma, who was like a strong rock in my life. When she passed, the silence felt huge and too much to bear. But over time, her love still felt within me. Tony's story shows us that loss changes us, but it also teaches us how strong life and love can be.
Hearing you all makes me think about loneliness as something you have to survive. As the oldest sibling, I had to do everything alone. Asking for help even felt wrong for me. Like I had to be strong and solve everything myself. So I built walls around myself. It made me strong but also made it hard to let people get close. I often remember this from Brad Rogers. Anything that's mentionable and everything that is mentionable can be more manageable. When we open about loneliness, it becomes easier to heal.
There was a time that I felt lonely, even when I was in a crowd, like at a school event or a party. Everyone else was talking, having fun, but I felt like I didn't fit in or connect with anyone. That kind of loneliness felt different because it wasn't about being alone. It was about feeling invisible or left out inside. It taught me that loneliness isn't just about being by yourself, but about feeling understood and accepted.
That's real courage with a cause. So, last question for our guests. Do you think we understand loneliness better or worse today? And what can Tony Takitani teach us about it?
Maybe worse. Social media makes us show we're always happy with people. Being alone feels like a failure, even though real alone time can help us heal. Tony's loneliness feels honest. It's deeper than just being physically alone.
Yeah, loneliness feels different now. You can be somewhere full of people, but still feel alone because everyone's on their phone. Tony's loneliness is inside him, real and fun. Not, not the kind that we pretend that everything is okay, but they're really not.
Talking about loneliness is important. Tony's story reminds us it's okay to feel lonely. It's part of being a human and learning to accept that feeling is strong.
Tony doesn't run from his empty feelings. The story tells us to build real connections. If we don't, then we have to learn to live with being alone.
For our dear viewers, maybe the most important lesson is this. Haruki Murakami once said, unquote, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what this storm is all about. Tony's story is about facing those storms inside us and finding peace afterwards. A good life isn't one without loneliness. It's one where you learn to be okay with yourself even when you're alone. And once again, this is Audio Alchemist. We'll see you in the next episode.